Okay, welcome to my program today, helping other people excel. Also, we go by hope because it's our desire, our sincere desire, that we want to help you excel, and by doing so, we want to bring hope into your life. We live in a day and age where so many people have lost hope and they've lost their ambition and their drive and their inspiration. And so we just really want to come into your homes and your hearts and your lives and try and inspire you to do better and to have more hope in your life so that you too can excel. And so we want to share with you in that. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank WCET for having us on here today and helping us get this show going. I'd like to thank Heaven is Our Home. Pastor Gary Myers also has a program on this channel, and he was instrumental in getting my show going, and I want to thank him for that. In addition to that, I want to thank Pamper Me Naturally. It's a wonderful company that's a home-based business. They make a lot of wonderful handmade soaps and lotions, things for your family to put on their skin so they aren't getting those toxins. Good little test for that is if you're reading the ingredients list and it's really long with big words that you can't spell or pronounce, that's probably not so good for you. But all of the soap and lotion from Pamper Me Naturally, the lip balms, the salves for the skin, all of that is designed to be clean and pure and all natural with good ingredients. And so we want to thank them for that fine product. In addition to that, we want to thank Perry's Place up in Cedar Springs, Michigan. They're on, I think, 90 North Main, and you'll be able to see their phone number here on the screen. But Perry's got some wonderful products. A lot of things for people that are having problems with gluten intolerances and dairy problems. He also has wonderful teas and herbs, and they do massages and things like that to help your body and help you feel better. So we want to thank all of them. I want to start out my show this today same as I always do, in that there's a little poem from an unknown monk around 1100 AD, and he said, "I wanted to change the world." And that was me. I wanted to change the world when I was a young man. And when I was young, I wanted to change the world, but I found that I couldn't change the world. And so I decided that I would try and change my country. And so I worked hard at changing my country, and I discovered that that too was not working out very well. And so I decided to try and change my town. And so I worked on changing my town, and I realized then that I wasn't getting anywhere with changing my town. And so I thought, well, I'm going to focus on my family. And as I got older, I tried to focus on my family, and I found that I couldn't change my family. And as I got old, I finally realized that if I changed myself, and I did change myself, and in changing myself, I discovered that if I would have changed myself years ago, that I would have truly changed my family. And in changing my family, they would have reached the town, and the town would have changed. And in changing the town, then it would have went on out and spread out into the country. And from the country, eventually, I would have changed the world. And what that monk was trying to say is that, if we just work on changing the things within us, if we just work on us and become the best we can be and do the best we can, that we would ultimately change the world. And I know that I talk on that every time our show is started, but I think it's so important that we realize that it's us that needs to change, and in changing us, everything around us will change. There's a little saying that says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And I've found that to be so true in my life, and I'm so glad that even though it was later in my life, I'm so glad that I finally got that it finally clicked in my head, and that I finally realized that when I change myself, when I change the way I look at things, then the things I look at will change. And so last week we talked about dreaming and focusing on our dreams. And I don't know if you've been able to do that much this week since the last show, but I'm going to recap on that a little bit. If we focus on our dreams, I think it was Earl Nightingale that said that in his Strangest Secret video, he said, "We become what we think about most." And so that's why the dream exercise, because if we learn to think about our dreams and goals and ambitions, we will then see those fulfilled in our life. And I really would like to encourage you to look up on YouTube. You can see Earl Nightingale and his video, The Strangest Secret. That video has been such a blessing to me. And you know, that's where he talked about we become what we think about most of the time. And what he says in The Strangest Secret, just as a little recap, is that it's really not a secret. It's been talked about for ages, for thousands of years it's been talked about. It's been taught by Jesus, it's been taught by all the prophets, and that's the strange part of it, is that it really isn't a secret. It's really available for all of us out there, and it's available to you through Earl Nightingale's video on YouTube called The Strangest Secret. And I really want to encourage you to go there and watch that. I'm going to talk about it some today, but I'm certainly not going to try and ruin the surprise for you. But, you know, as I was making this show, I really wanted to reach out to you and say, "Psst, come here, I got a secret for you. I'm going to tell you the secret of life." It's been a question on so many people's minds throughout the ages. What is the meaning of life? What is the secret of life? What is the secret to success? And it's really not that complicated. It's really not that difficult. It's a very simple little secret that we just need to learn and apply. But in Earl Nightingale's show, or video you want to call it, he talks about how our mind is like a field. And how whatever you plant in a field, he says, using corn and nightshade, I might say corn and or food and thistles, or the little sticky burdocks that stick to your cloth. But he talks about how it doesn't matter what you plant in the field doesn't care. It's going to grow whatever you put in it. You can plant in the burdock and it'll grow prolifically. Or you can plant in corn or tomatoes or other good food or fruit, and you'll reap what you sow. And the Bible talks about that so often, in that what we sow, that will we also reap. And so Earl Nightingale goes on to say that our mind is like that field. It's a plain, barren dirt, fertile for whatever seed we plant in it. And what we choose to plant in our mind is what will grow there. And we can choose to plant weeds. Orrin Woodward has a talk he does about attitude weed seeds. And, you know, he's a famous New York Times best-selling author. And, you know, it's the same thing. We can choose to plant weeds in our mind, and they'll grow prolifically. And we'll complain in sorrow about having to pull all those weeds because they just grew so well and there was nothing but weeds in our life, and our life was hard, and it wasn't going the way we want it to go. And maybe you're like that. Maybe that's going on in your life. I know it went on in my life for many years. I came to the conclusion that I had spent a lot of my time in my life planting the wrong seeds. And when I got to the end of the day and I looked at my life, I was really unhappy about what I saw, because it wasn't at all what I had dreamed about as a young man. And I know that you've all had dreams yourself when you were young. Maybe it was to be a pilot, maybe an astronaut, maybe the president or a governor. I don't know what your dreams were. Maybe you wanted to be a nurse or a doctor and be able to help people when they were sick. But we all had those dreams, and we thought about them quite a bit when we were young. And you know, you even see children today, and you got little Johnny, and he's playing in the sandbox with the fire truck, and he wants to grow up to be a fireman someday, you know. And we need to really encourage those dreams and those ambitions in the lives of young people. But I know that you can remember, probably as a young man or young lady, people telling you too, you can be anything you want to be. You can have anything you want to have. You just got to go after it. You just got to get some good education and hard work, and you can have what you dreamed for. But sadly, somewhere along the line, we had some great big dream, and somebody may have come up to you. Maybe it was an uncle, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was your minister, maybe it was your mom or dad, and they said, well, you can never do that, but you can maybe be a plumber or an electrician or a housewife, but just give up on that going to the moon thing or being an airline pilot or whatever. And it's so sad that people out there discourage others in their dreams, because if we would just turn that around and encourage people in their dreams and say, yes, you can do that. Yes, you can have what you desire. Yes, you can fulfill that eager ambition or drive that's in your life. You can become that. How much further people could go in our world, and how much more beautiful our world could be as a result of it. But instead, it seems like that our nature is that we want to put people down, and somehow we feel like that if we step on them, that it helps lift us up or make us taller or help us be bigger, when in reality we should be all reaching down a helping hand to help and pick up each other. And I want to really encourage you to encourage others. I want to encourage you to keep on dreaming, keep on thinking about those things. Dwell on that, because it's what you plant in your mind that's going to grow. If you plant those attitude weeds are going to grow like crazy. And what you reap from that is going to be weeds, and it's going to be struggle, and it's going to be heartache. And if you're reaping heartache and struggle today and you're having a hard time in your life, I just want to encourage you, because it's never too late. You can plant something new today for tomorrow's harvest. You can reach out and plant something that you want. But now you're faced with a question. Okay, if I can plant anything I want, what is it that I want? What am I going to plant? Do I want tomatoes? Do I want corn? Do I want carrots? Maybe some cabbage or celery? Do I want to be wealthy? Do I want to have nice cars and a big house, or maybe multiple homes? Do I want to be able to winter in the warm climates and come back to the cold climates in the summer and visit family and friends? Or maybe you want to have more of a different kind of ministry. Maybe you want to help people with their health and learn what it is that makes people healthy, so that you can help them be healthy, and so that they don't have to deal with cancer or other disease in their life. Maybe that's your desire. Or maybe you have a feeling in your heart for children that are suffering, that have no homes, or have very little food, or have very little education. We all have deep in our hearts some ministry, some purpose that God put us here for. And it reminds me of a book that I read a long time ago called The Dream Giver. And in that book, he just talked about that. He talked about what is it that we were put here for. What is our purpose? What was our ministry supposed to be before we got sidetracked and bogged down by the cares of our life, of how we were going to pay the bills, and whether we're going to put gas in our tank or food on a table. All of those things, it just wears on us after a while, till we can no longer see the dreams that we once had, or the ministry or mission that we once had. And so I want to encourage you to think about what it is that you want to plant in your mind. Because we see that, like planting in the soil in the field, that what we plant in our mind is what's going to make the difference in our world, and that's going to be what we harvest in the future. The Bible is full of scriptures that talk about we are what we think, that whatsoever our mind thinketh, that will we have, or that will we be. And, I didn't realize that. I've read those scriptures a lot of times, and it never really hit me. It never really sunk in such a way as it did after I heard The Strangest Secrets from Earl Nightingale. It just never really took root in my heart. I never understood that. I never got that. And so that's why I'm so eager to share that with you today, because I really want you to get that. I want you to understand that you can have whatever you want. It's all in what you plant in your mind. You can plant good things. That's why the Bible says, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are of good report, think on these things. Because it's what we plant in our mind that will be what we reap. Whatsoever you sow, that will you also reap. And so, as we think about what it is that we want in our life, how we want our lives to be different, what seed do we want to plant there? We're not happy with what we've got. We've planted weeds all our lives. We've reaped weeds up until now, and it's brought us sorrow and heartache and difficulty, and we've had to do without. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the crazy part about the strangest secret. It's really that simple. And I just want to impress on you to go to the YouTube video and watch any. There's a bunch of them on there. Many people have repeated Earl Nightingale's Strangest Secret because it is that good. It's really that amazing. It's that life-changing. The one I went to said, if you watch this video, it could really change your life. But it's a good one, but they all are the same. They're all Earl and Nightingale, and he didn't have television back then. This was done back in the 40s, I believe, so he didn't have television back then. So you don't really get to see his presentation, you listen to it. But the message and the meaning is still there, and it's still the same. You can have what you want to plant in your mind. So what is it that you want to plant today? Think about that as you go on through your week until we come back again together next week and we talk about some additional things, because every week I want to build on the next step, because my mission and my show here is to help other people excel. Hope. To give you hope. To bring hope into your life. To help dig you up from those attitude weeds that are choking you and surrounding you, and to pick you up and help lift you up and encourage you to become what you should be and what God put you here for. To reach your purpose, to reach success, to reach your goals, to help you excel. Helping other people excel is our show. And so think about these things as you go through your week. Maybe scribble a few notes down. And let it build. Let your dream build as to what it is that you hope to acquire. How you'd like your life to be different. We oftentimes get people to thinking about this by saying, if everything cost $1, if money were no object or no issue, how would that change your life? Would you have more time to spend with family and with loved ones? People I know have been in that position where money wasn't an object for them, and they were able to help dying loved ones, their father or their mother or someone else who was sick, that they were able to go and spend time with them and be with them as they were dying because they had time. They had more time. They didn't have to deal with worrying about where their next meal came from instead. And how sad it was that some of their other relatives couldn't be there with them to be with those people as they passed on and as they took their journey on to the next life. But they instead had to go back to their jobs because they had credit cards that they had to pay and mortgages they had to pay and bills that weighed heavy around their neck. And so, would you have more time? Would you be able to spend more time with family? Would you be able to maybe go and travel some more? Go to some places that you'd like to see? I've never been to the Grand Canyon. I've seen videos and pictures of it, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And I know that those videos don't do it justice. I've been down to the Smoky Mountains, and I've traveled through them, and the majesty of the high mountains that climbed up seeming like into infinity, all covered with green, with trees and beauty there that was just awesome as you saw it, and as you drove through it. I just looked and I looked, and I took pictures myself, and I got them home and was sorely disappointed because I saw that those pictures did not even come close to capturing the grandeur that I saw and I felt as I went through there. Or maybe it was going to the Rocky Mountains. I've been out there too. And there's a mountain range that also is very, very high, but it looks totally, entirely different. It's got big, huge rocks jutting out of it, and very few trees. But still, it's got its own grandeur and beauty in its own way. It's just amazing. So maybe it's travel that you'd like. Or maybe it would be not being in debt. You know, we talked about that earlier, and The Financial Matrix is an amazing book that Orrin Woodward has just recently published and released, and it talks about how to help you get out of that matrix. I don't know, many of you may have seen the movie The Matrix, and how, Neo found that he was living in a fantasy world and that he really didn't have a life. It was all just inside of his head, and that as he took the red pill, he took a journey into what was really actually reality and got away from the fantasy. And, in our world today, many of us are trapped in the financial matrix. We're caught in the net of finances and struggling to try and just keep even with the board. Or maybe we're not keeping even with the board and we're actually going under little by little by little every day. And so The Financial Matrix is an amazing book, and I encourage you to try and get a hold of that. You can find that. I have a little web page listing here that you can see on your screen. That'll take you to my website where you can buy some of these books that I've talked about, and I want to help you get them. They're at a reasonable price and maybe even at a discount from what you might pay at Barnes & Noble. But it's such important information, and you can build on the basis of the education that I'm trying to present to you here, and you can fill that in and make it much more rich by getting these books and reading them for yourselves, because you get the detail that I can't share with you in a half an hour. But all of these things, you can change your life. You can live the life that you've always wanted just by planting different seeds in your mind. Different seeds than you had yesterday. I woke up at the age of 50, 51, and realized that I was caught in that financial matrix and that I wasn't happy with my life as it was going. And I thought about it at that time, and I said, if I lived another 30 years from now, and I worked really hard during that time, and let's say I went twice as far as I was at the age of 50, if I could, would I still be happy with what I had? Would that be what I'd been dreaming for all of my life? Would that be the fulfillment of those dreams? And then I looked around at other people who were doing what I did, and I said to myself, Bob over here has been doing what I've been doing for 50 years himself. And where's his lifestyle? What's it look like? Would I like to be working the long hours that Bob works, putting in at the office day after day? Is that what I want? Do I want to live in that neighborhood? Do I want to be just struggling to pay those credit cards? No, I need more than that. I really want more than that. I woke up and realized that I really needed to find my purpose, and I needed to fulfill that purpose. I knew that there was more to life. I just didn't know where. I didn't know how to find it. And maybe you're in that same position. Maybe today you're feeling like you're caught on that hamster wheel and you just can't get off day after day, just running and running and running and running and absolutely going nowhere, because it's just energy being expended, but you're not making any forward progress. Maybe that's how you feel. I've got hope for you. I've got hope for you. I'm here to help you excel. And if I can share just a little bit of what I've been learning with you, and it can touch your life and it can motivate you and give you incentive to drive forward and become successful, if I can impart to you where to find these answers so that you too can find the answers that I've found in my life, it's my desire to help you with that, because I know how you feel. I've been there. I was on that hamster wheel. I was trapped in that matrix of finances, paying credit card debt, interest after interest, and late fees and NSF fees and all of that stuff. It's a trap, but you can get out. There is hope for you. There is success available to even you. You just need new information. You don't know what it is you don't know. And that's why I'm here. That's what I'm here for, is to help you find out what it is you don't know. Somebody reached down at one point in my life and found me down there and said, Jim, come on. Come with me. I've got some answers for you. And you know, oddly enough, I fought with them. I said, no, I don't want to go there. I'm happy with my hamster wheel. Until I thought about it. Change is difficult sometimes. Sometimes it's downright scary because we don't know what's on the other side. We've never experienced that. And that's why we do the same old things every day. That's why we continue to plant those weed seeds in our mind. Because day after day, that's what we knew and that's what we were comfortable with. And so that's what we continue to do. So grab a hold of my hand, friend. Reach out and take what I'm telling you to heart. Let this minister to you so that you can get off that hamster wheel too, so that you can live the life that you've always wanted. Think about what seeds you want to plant in your life, and I'll help you plant them. You're not alone. I have hope for you. There is hope for you. And I just pray for you every day. I don't know how many people watch my show. Maybe there's 5, maybe there's 10, maybe there's 100. But if I can just reach one of you, if I can just help one of you get off that hamster wheel. It reminds me of that story about the young man, and I think I've told it on another one of my shows, but the young man that was along the beach and the tide had come in and washed in all these starfish. And the starfish were struggling along the beach because there was no more water and they were going to dry out and die. And this young fellow was going down the beach and he'd pick up a starfish and he'd toss it in the ocean. And there had to be thousands of these starfish along the beach. There was an old fellow up the beach and he was kind of watching this young man, and he'd reach down and pick up one and toss it back into the ocean. And finally this fellow came up to the young man and he said, young fellow, he said, I appreciate what you're doing here. You're trying to save these starfish, but you could never, ever possibly make a difference because there's so many. You know, 1 or 2, and you're not even making a dent in this whole long beach full of starfish. And the young fellow reached down and he picked up another starfish and he looked at it and he tossed it as far as he could into the water. And he said, sir, I made a difference to that one. I made a difference to that one. I want to reach out to you today and tell you that there's hope for you. I can make a difference in your life if you'll just reach out and take this information and start thinking about the seeds that you want to plant in your mind, and start thinking about the harvest that you want to reap in your life, what you want your life to be like. And then let's start planting those seeds in your mind so that you too can live the life you've always wanted. So you too can live a life of fulfillment and gratification. I thank you for spending this half hour with me today. I thank you for letting me come into your home. I pray that something I've said has ministered to you, that it's touched your heart. And somehow it gave you hope. Helping Other People Excel is the name of our show, and we just hope that you've enjoyed spending time with us as we've enjoyed spending time with you. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week, and we'll build more on this and help you excel some more. Thank you.